The restoration of these buildings has always been a passion for me. To take some of the legacy that we all have of these early homes and to make them so that future generations have a chance to come in and maybe see how these early settlers lived. The house here, the Pilgrim house, came from Billerica, which is a couple of hours away. To think this is one of the 50 oldest houses in this country that's still standing is, I can't believe it. The whole history and purpose of this house was to be a shelter for women and children, in other words, a garrison house. And the room that they came to is pretty much exactly the way it was. It's an unbelievable room. The items in the room are things from that period. The Hadley chest, which shows you the carving that they did at that time on these early chests. This would date back early 1600s. The gate-leg table in the center of the room with the banister-back chairs that go around it. The court cupboard. The court cupboard, other than the Bible box, was certainly the most important piece of furniture in the house. It's where they kept their major documents and papers. I'm blown away every time I go in there that at a time in our country when they were trying to scratch out a living, that anyone could make a room with such beauty. The hallway there, the staircase, is unbelievable. It's exactly as it was built. The balustrade and the steps and the risers, it's just the way it would have been done with all the bricks exposed. Much of the wood in this house has never been painted. The patina on the wood is from Mother Nature. It's got a tan look to it. You just cannot get in any way except being exposed all those years. 350 years, imagine it. That somebody hasn't lived in there and put wallpaper or paint or decorated in some way. It's really what I think is the greatest element of the place. The main house was built as 2 over 2, and then the lean-to was added later as a kitchen. When you walk through the room, you can't help but notice some of the things that are typical of the Pilgrim period. The Bible box, for example. Theology was very important, and this got a place of honor. A lot of pewter, which was mostly tin. You notice a lot of things of horn, but the fireplace is obviously the focal point of the room. And while my fireplace tends to have way more than they would typically have had back then, I think all the things that you see in there are appropriate as to what they would use. And they had things that were the counterpart of what we have today. There's a broom here. It's all one piece of wood, except for the iron bands that go around it. What makes a good Pilgrim broom is one that would stand by itself. Always at the end of either a keeping room or, in this case, a lean-to, was a small room that was located somewhere near the heat of the major fireplace. And this was where the women would have had their children, the birthing room. There was a small cot in here, and it would be used all during the child-raising years. When I'm in the process of restoration, the nails that we use are taken out of a building, and so when they pull them out, sometimes they're turned circular, they're crimped around, they're twisted. These are blacksmith handmade nails, and the only way you can really get those is to dismantle a building. You don't go someplace and buy them. So one of the crazy little things that I do, it doesn't matter how late I've been out the night before or who I've entertained, my goal is to straighten 100 nails every night. Once the Pilgrim house was up, there needed to be a connector to the shed of the building, and we call this an L. And this happens to be not Pilgrim, this is colonial. So this would date to the 1790s, and the structure of it, the architecture of it's very different, with the hand-hewn New England beams in the ceiling, the wide period floorboards. All the cabinetry work is modern, but it's been done in an early way with hand planing. The stone on the counters are all soapstone from Vermont. The carriage shed dates to about the 1790s. I get so excited to show everyone because when I say it's the finest one they'll ever see, and they come to look at the outside and they see 2 doors and a rusted tin roof, and they're thinking, how great can it be? They go inside, and then I say to them, now don't look at all my stuff I've collected and then the modern buggies that are in here. I want you to look up. It's a beauty of construction as to why I fell in love with it. The water tower dates to about 1890. When I was restoring the property, I really missed not being able to see the views in the back. So I wanted to get up high enough so I could see it, and I wanted to acquire a tall structure like a water tower. Hadn't any more than finished the last shingle on the roof of completing the water tower structure when the landowner next door decided to harvest the trees, cut all the trees, and now I can see everything from the ground. Little by little, the other buildings came into being. I wasn't quite ready to plunge into the Pilgrim house until my research was complete, and so I began acquiring other accessory buildings, such as the schoolhouse. I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and my aunt was the teacher, and there were 2 or 3 kids in my class, and 6 grades in one room, and kids today would have no conception of what a one-room schoolhouse was like. So, in the part of the town history is that there were 18 of them here, and I thought if I could restore and save just one of them. And the best thing of all was the people in the neighborhood who came to see this coming together and offered things that they might have in their collections that might relate to the school. Now that it's complete, the local school system, 4th grade classes primarily, all the kids come, they get to sit in the chairs, they get to open the books and see what a one-room schoolhouse was like. One of the regrets I have really is, as I look back, is not having had a better appreciation for my background. I'm one of 13. We all grew up in the same house, born there, that the previous generations had, going back to the house of about 1810. And as I was growing up, I never really had an appreciation for that old house. I really didn't. I was envious of friends that had houses that had modern things, and I didn't really want my friends to come there. And my parents are both gone now, and I think if I could go back, I'd have them know that I really did appreciate what we had and do so more today than ever.